Good morning and welcome everybody to Norcal APEX Accelerator's National Veterans Small Business Week training series. In partnership with Norcal VBOC, today we bring you certifications for veteran-owned businesses. Next slide, Jeff. My name is Amanda Anderson. I'm the program coordinator for Norcal APEX Accelerator. And today, Joseph Moore, our procurement specialist at Norcal APEX Accelerator, will be giving you the lowdown on all of these veteran-owned certifications that can help you get a bit of a leg up in government contracting. We are also joined by our fantastic guest, Marco Lucero, a veteran support specialist for Norcal VBOC. And before we get into the bulk of our presentation, I'm actually going to pass it off to Marco to give you a little bit of detail about how Norcal VBOC can help you and your business.
Nice. Thank you, Amanda, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Happy National Veteran Small Business Week. My name is Marco Lucero. I am an Air Force veteran, 7 years. I'm happy to continue serving in this capacity as a veteran support specialist with the Norcal VBOC. That's the Veteran Business Outreach Center. And we'll start off with my slideshow, please. Next slide. Veteran resources for growing or starting a small business. That's our address down there. We are in Sacramento. I'll keep speaking more about our services as we go. Next slide. All right, start with the mission. Our mission here at the VBOC is to serve men and women who are active duty service members, Guard, Reserve, veterans, their family members being their spouses, or military connected family members. If your father served or your daughter served, we want to help you. And so we're not going to close the door on anyone who is connected to the military of any types. And of course, we want to help you start or grow your existing business, whether you just have an idea or you've been in business for a while and you just want some advice. We're here to help you. Next slide. A little bit about the VBOC. We collaborate with the resource partners. Obviously, right now, we're collaborating with the PTEC, or now known as the APEX Accelerator. We also collaborate with the SBA, the Small Business Development Centers, or SBDC, SCORE, our service corps of retired executives, and the Women's Business Centers. And I think they also changed their name now to the Women's Entrepreneur Center. So you might see both. Not next slide. The next line says, we provide the business development services, training, and consulting at no charge. We don't like to say free because you did serve, but we are here for you at no cost. There's currently 28 VBOCs now. Today is actually the grand opening for the LA VBOC, and there's many more to come. I'm really happy about that. It's kind of something you don't really know that's out there if you are a veteran. But I guess that's why we're here now, to get out the word. Our VBOC here launched in 2021. I've only been here 6 months though. And each VBOC has its own unique service area. And on our next slide, we'll go more into our service area. Here's our service area. As you can see, it's from Kern County up to the Oregon border. And these are the 5 military installation bases that we serve. We do just have our office here in Sacramento, as I mentioned, but we are going to be opening up some 2 more satellite offices, one in Fairfield and one in Redding. And we do have 1 more satellite office right now that's been up and running since our opening in Fresno, but it's actually Clovis. It's at the Clovis Veterans Memorial District. Next slide, please. How we assist our clients. As you can see, the first one is the one I'd say is most important, and that's our one-on-one consulting and mentorship. Really getting you in face-to-face and sitting down with someone, I think is going to be the best help and resource just to clear any confusion about what you may need based on your business needs. We also offer these pre-business plan workshops. I'll get more into our workshops later. And also the business plan assistance that we provide as well. We will help you with your feasibility analysis and marketing strategies. And we also provide in-person training as well as our online trainings. And some navigation of local programs and services and resources and services. I'd say before I even got this job, I really didn't even know, what the VBOC did, who we helped, and also all the different programs and other resource partners we have. And if there's something that we can't help with, we're going to set you in line with some of these resource partners and really get you all the assistance available for you. Other related business development services. You might notice on this slide, it doesn't say anything about legal advice, but with the other development business resources or help, we do want to kind of guide you and let you know your options and maybe show you what kind of attorneys or legal entities are out there to help you. And we're more than happy to point you in the right direction. Thank you. Next slide. Workshops offered, as I mentioned. The first one you can see here is contracting with the state and federal governments. I guess that's more about what you guys are here and what you will learn more through the APEX Accelerator. But we also employ, we have a part-time employee, Paul, who also provides a similar training to that. It kind of goes hand in hand with the government certifications, which you'll also be learning about today. So that's awesome. Business plans in action, as I mentioned. Our business plans in action workshop is presented by one of our business consultants, who also, if once you get this business plans in action course and you're done with this, we will give you access to LivePlan, and I'll speak about LivePlan more. It's a database that helps you build your business plan. The next one is the Veteran Grown series. We have been working on this Veteran Grown program since I got here, maybe in May. We're still trying to gather more panelists and trying to reach out to people in rural areas that are interested in agriculture or ag tech. We have a panelist from NASA. We have other panelists that are from local universities and are experts in agriculture. So look out for that on November 8th. And then our marketing fundamentals that we offer is also great resources for marketing if you need help with that, as well as marketing essentials, our advanced training, which is also with the same presenter from the business plans in action. So if you want that one-on-one consulting and you need help with not only your business plan or marketing, we have an expert in both of those fields. And then along with that one is our e-commerce. It's kind of a home-based business. And SoCal VBOC, which is located at the Miracosta College in San Diego, they host that training. And kind of goes hand in hand with the MilSpouse Pathway to Business program. It's for home-based businesses. We're trying to reach out to spouses who are at home, maybe with their children, and they want to start their own business in e-commerce. And apart from that, we also have our Boots to Business and our Boots to Business Reboot training. And I'll speak more about our Boots to Business and Reboot shortly. And lost the slides here, but just give us one moment. But for now, I'm going to put my information inside the chat box so you guys have that. Feel free to check out our website as well for all of our upcoming trainings.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marco. I'm so sorry about the slides. Joe, are we able to get those back up?
They should be back up now.
Is your screen shared?
Yes,
Okay, we are not seeing it. Do you want to try to unshare and then reshare?
Right. Stand by.
Thanks.
Okay.
And yeah, so Norcal VBOC is a fantastic program, very similar to APEX Accelerator, all no cost to you, which is a really gold star, like right there. But we all work kind of in the similar vein of we want to help you and your business be successful wherever you are in your business journey. VBOC can help with marketing and e-commerce and all of those fundamental skills. And then they can pass you off to us for proposal solicitations and like reviews on your contracts and contracts compliance. So fantastic resource. Thank you so much for dropping your contact in the chat, Marco. Please do connect with them.
Yes, yeah, you're welcome. And I will just plug these dates right now for our upcoming workshops to look out for. Actually, as a part of National Veteran Small Business Week, tomorrow being the last day, on Friday, we have a disaster preparedness workshop. I think you never really know what's going to happen, what kind of disaster might affect your business. So I would say attend that just in case. You know, we had the floods and the storms last year that affected a lot of businesses, and there were a lot of funding or grants out there. And so we can provide that information to you guys as well. On November 14th, we'll have our federal and state small business certifications. So if you want to kind of reattack this topic of small business certifications, we'll have that. On November 21st is our next business plans and action course, as I mentioned. And our next e-commerce course is November 28th. And also part of National Veteran Small Business Week, I'm not sure if anyone is located near Fresno. They're doing the Vet Biz Rally Point there in Clovis at the Veterans Memorial District. And it'll be a collection of all the resource partners so that when you attend, you can kind of gather a lot of information from all the resources that are available to you.
Fantastic.
If you can go ahead and continue with the slides, I'm rebooting. I don't know what happened.
Okay. Yeah, so I will go ahead and pull those up and get my screen shared. And apologies for the technical difficulties. We do know technology likes to work when it wants to, not when we want it to. Oh.
This actually happened to me yesterday. I was presenting the slides and my internet went down. And I was like, oh no.
Right. So if I could just get a quick check, are we seeing the full presentation, full screen?
Yes, that is the last slide.
Fantastic. So yeah, and I do just want to say, Marco, thank you so much for making time out of your busy, busy week to join us today. I know VBOC is doing a ton of events, not only just this week, but this month. So we really do appreciate you joining us to let everybody know how amazing VBOC is and that there's connections there.
Of course, yes. No, thank you for having me and look forward to doing more workshops together.
Absolutely. So before we go into Joe's presentation, I do want to let everybody know a little bit about APEX Accelerators. Now, APEX Accelerator is a federally funded nationwide network of resource centers for government contracting assistance. We have over 96 centers nationwide. So if you are not within California, maybe not even within like the NorCal service area, we know that we have folks from New York, from Georgia, from Idaho who join us on these webinars. So even if you can't work with Norcal APEX Accelerator, there is absolutely one of these 96 centers near you that you can work with. And we all provide the same no-cost resources for government contracting. Now, what are those resources exactly? Well, at Norcal APEX Accelerator, we have three main pillars of services that we offer. The first one is our one-on-one counseling, where you can meet with a procurement specialist, just like Joe Moore, and you can sit down with them over Zoom, or you can sit down with our counselor in our Cal Poly Humboldt office in Northern California, and they can help you analyze, discern, and work through any hurdles or issues you may be having with government contracting. Whether that be a really tricky or finicky SAM registration or helping you review a solicitation to craft the best proposal you can. We can even help with contract compliance after you win your first contract. And remember, this counseling is offered at absolutely no cost to clients within our Northern California service area. But again, If you're not within Northern California in those 15 coastal counties, there's absolutely an Apex Accelerator Center near you. Our second pillar of services is our custom bin matching program. Now, this is a fantastic service that our program, Apex Accelerator, actually pays for and offers to our clients at absolutely no cost. And so what this custom bid matching does is it helps you set down a certain criteria, almost a profile of sorts, that tells this software, okay, search all of these various procurement sites, local, state, federal. There are so many procurement sites. And this software searches all of them based on the criteria that you define with your procurement specialist and will email you relevant and timely opportunities directly to your inbox. And that takes a lot of the guesswork and a lot of the legwork out of government contracting, because finding the right solicitations for your business can be a challenge. And our third pillar is our resources and trainings, which you are actually taking advantage of right now. We do webinars throughout the entire year, as well as we keep and maintain a very robust website with a ton of resources, contracting page, certification information, and so much more, including the recordings of all of our previous webinars. We have a very vast library of recordings. And the best part, these resources, this webinar, our website, you don't even have to be a client or within our service area. You just have to have a bit of internet. So with that, I will go ahead and pass it off to Joe for the main presentation.
I'm back online. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. Welcome, my fellow veterans. I'm glad you're here for this certification webinar during this National Veteran Small Business Week. A little bit of background about myself. I've been around Norcal APEX Accelerator now going on 5 years. I've been working also with the Virginia APEX Accelerator for over 15 years, full-time and part-time. I'm a retired Navy supply officer with a background in the Navy in contracts and aviation logistics. Been a contracting officer in civil service, been a contracting officer for private industry back to the federal government. And that's my story. I'm going to have to stick with it. Next slide, please. The information I have in this presentation today is the best that I can provide at this time of this presentation. It's been updated literally 30 minutes ago. But we're still getting changes, but it's current right now. So we'll just move on and let it stay it that way. Next slide, please. Purpose of veterans programs. And again, I thank Marco for his VBOC information. Sorry, we lost some of it at the very end, but we're all working together to help the veterans. The purpose of our program, or the veterans program, is to ensure our veterans who served our country at great sacrifice are given advantages in contracting with the state of California and the federal government. Next slide, please. Okay, we're going to talk about the California Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise certification process, and then we will move over to the federal government certification process for service-disabled veteran-owned businesses and veteran-owned small businesses. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. All of this information that I'm giving you about the California certification is located on the Cali Procure website under certifications. So it's not something that's not available. Basically, California requires you have been a veteran, military, naval, or air service. You must have a service-connected disability rating of at least 10% or more, and you must be domiciled in California. The main purposes of their program on certification is 51% owned by one or more disabled veterans. Limited liability companies must be wholly owned by one or more disabled veterans. Daily operation must be managed and controlled by one or more disabled veterans. And home office has to be in the state of California, but it cannot be a branch of a foreign corporation, foreign firm, or other foreign-based business. Next slide, please. Okay, this message here is no longer valid, so we'll just disregard that for the processing time. They've come back to a reasonable processing time. So next slide, please. Okay, to begin your process of getting registered, first of all, you have to go into Cal eProcure. There's requirements for you to register your business as a vendor for the state of California. And then there's additional requirements for small business and disabled veteran business certifications. And if you're in construction, there is also a certification for construction businesses. They're all linked. You can do, if you're in construction, you can do small business, disadvantaged business enterprise, and construction certification at the same time on the application. However, the approval is not all the same time for all of them. Normally, the disabled veteran business enterprise is one that takes longer to be approved. Your basic requirements are here. Next slide, please. And additional requirements here. A lot of people have questions about what this DE 9C form is. Apparently, it's a part of a taxation system for California where you have to be able to show that you have paid your quarterly taxes for your company and for your employees on their withholding. And you must have an award letter from e-benefit service or benefit verification, or a retired or retainer letter from the military you're retired from. The disability rating can also come from the Veterans Administration. And then these links at the bottom are the same links you will find at the website. Small business documentation requirements and DVBE documentation requirements. I'm going to talk a little bit about those on the next slides. Next slide, please. Okay. IRS documentation verifying your federal entity ID number or your EIN number, or using a social security number. We do not recommend you use your social security number in any business transactions for any registration anywhere. Award entitlement letter, show you have a service-connected disability of at least 10%. 3 years of federal tax returns for the business and any partners that are into business. And each disabled veteran equipment owner, which I'll talk about on the next slide. And then resumes showing that you have the experience in the area in which you're providing service, your service area. Next slide, please. Okay. If you are one of these few firms that is actually an equipment rental firm, this is a little bit of variation in the basic requirements. One thing I want to point out here, if you're an equipment rental firm and you're a disabled veteran and you want to apply for the certification, you must own at least 51% of each piece of equipment. Okay, and then you will also have to be able to show you have a business license and a seller's permit. But these requirements are unique for equipment rental firms in the state of California. Next slide, please. And then the basic requirements for other documentation that goes into your application is based on how your legal structure. corporations, partnerships, limited liability partnerships, limited liability companies, or joint ventures. And the note at the bottom, additional documents may be requested from the reviewer, but do not send any additional documentation that's not listed on this list ahead of time, because it's only going to slow down your process of being approved. Next slide, please. Okay, again, as I mentioned to you previously, small business public works, DVBE certification applications can all be submitted simultaneously. Small business and small business public works certifications usually completed in a very short time frame. And in most cases that I've seen recently, within an amount of time it takes you to hit a click and hit return, it's done. DVBEs are usually taking around 4 to 8 weeks now, from what I can determine from the website. If you need to request application expedition, it will be considered. You have to provide a copy of a solicitation that has the name of the agency on it, a POC at that agency, name, phone number, email, and the bid due date. They will try to expedite your approval related to that solicitation, if that solicitation is a set aside for a disabled veteran business enterprise. Next slide, please. And why is it advantageous to you to use to have this certification? State agencies and department has an annual goal of 3% of all contracting dollars to go to DVBE firms. Some may have up to a 5% incentive on some contracts. That is a completely whole presentation in itself. So if you do have questions on that, I can direct you where you can find the detailed information about that. And then other state agencies can provide direct contracts directly to DVE firms by obtaining price quotations from at least 2 certified DVBEs with no public solicitation with limitations. Reciprocating partners. Next one, please. This is a program that's in the state of California for cities, counties, and agencies and special districts who honor the statewide certifications program for small business public works, and disabled business enterprises. These partnerships do not use the state procurement policies. They use their own policies and procedures, and they are independent of any state contracts. Example of firms in this arrangement is BART, San Francisco City and County Government Contracting System, University of California College System, City of Long Beach, City of Los Angeles, and Los Angeles MTA. There's more in this list than I put here. So this is another way that you can take advantage of your disabled veteran business enterprise certification. Next slide. Okay, now we're going to roll over to the federal system. Next slide, please. Okay. A couple recent changes that have taken place in the certification program for the federal government. Formal certification reviews are now conducted by the U.S. Small Business Administration, which commenced on January of this year. The SBA size standard changed as of 6 June last year. And a new unique identity ID provision came in effect 1 April of last year, which affects your SAM registration. Next slide. Okay. This is a special notice for anyone who has submitted a SAM registration and has indicated in the SAM system for award management, that you're self-certified as a service disabled veteran-owned small business for the federal government. This registration will expire and be removed from your SAM registration as of 31 December this year. You now have to go out and file a formal application with the SBA to be certified as a service disabled veteran-owned small business. Okay, anybody that has not done that will not be eligible for contracts as a service disabled veteran-owned small business after 1 January 2024. The review process is running about 10 to 30 days. 10 days if you have a real clean application going in, no issues. 30 days if you have some adjustments where they have to go out and request some additional documentation or something like that. But that's what the SBA is reporting out right now. Anywhere between 10 and 30 days for approval. But you must have an active SAM registration to be able to submit your application to the SBA. And the first thing you have to do is either you already assigned a UEI or you have to request a UEI, and then you have to validate that UEI, that you are in fact the owner of that business. Then you can start the SAM registration. The UEI, if you got the right documentation up front, I've seen recently 10, 12 days approval time on it. But there's been many issues where I've had some clients, because of the UEI and differences in name or where they were licensed to do business, it's taken as much as 4 months to get a UEI validated and to be able to move on to a SAM registration. So just remember that and take that in consideration. The SBA will not provide any expedited processing after 31 December for their certification as a veteran-owned small business or a service disabled veteran-owned small business. If you currently have a service disabled veteran-owned certification from the Center of Veterans Enterprise or the SBA, no action is required. Your certification is still valid. Next slide, please. Okay, the 3 requirements for certification. Once the SBA took over this program, they did change the certification package requirements, and they streamlined it and made it much easier than what it was under the CVE. 51% of ownership must be registered in SAM as a small business and must be a small business according to the SBA size standard. And that size standard is the one that's in effect as of June last year. And here's a link at the bottom, veterancertified.sba.gov, as to where you can go and start your process. Everything is electronic uploads. There are no documents mailed in or faxed in or anything else. Everything has to be uploaded electronically. Next slide, please. Ownership. 51% unconditional and direct ownership by one or more service disabled veteran owners. Unconditional means no restrictions on the ability to acquire shares of the company. And direct ownership can't be obtained through a holding company or a trust. Next slide. Okay, the size standard. Each NAICS code, North American Industry Classification Code, has a size standard associated with it. It's either number of employees or revenue. The size standard, when prior to the new change, went from 3 years to 5 years. So the review period for a size standard is considered 5 years rolling average for revenue under a government contract for each individual specific NAICS code that you do business under. So that's the rolling average for the size standard. As long as you're below the either the number of employees or the dollar value that's listed as a size standard, you're a small business. So to be qualified as a service-disabled veteran or veteran-owned small business, you have to be small in at least one NAICS code that's listed in your SAM profile. And if you need to find some information about NAICS code, we have a link right here for you. Next slide, please. You have to have an active SAM registration, and it has to reflect the business as being small. In other words, you're going to reflect yourself as a small business in the general service category. You're going to reflect yourself as a small business under the certification section for service disabled veteran. Next slide, please. Okay. Benefits of being a small business owner and a certified small business owner. First of all, service disabled veterans are eligible to compete for sole source contracts with the Department of Veterans Affairs. At least 3% of all federal contracting dollars for each year are set aside specifically for service disabled veterans. That's government-wide, all federal agencies. 3% of a whole bunch of money is a lot of money. So just remember that. And opportunities are listed when they're published as a set aside for service disabled veteran or any of the other social economic categories that are available to be used. But 3%, all federal agencies for service disabled veteran. Now, next slide, please. Now, this is a veteran-owned small business. A veteran-owned small business that does not have a disability rating. This certification allows you to compete sole source or for set-aside contracts with the Department of Veterans Affairs only. And this VA has set aside a 7% of their goal for contracting specifically with VOSBs and service disabled veteran-owned small businesses. If you're in the other socioeconomic categories, HUB Zone, 8A, woman-owned small business, you can go ahead and compete in those, and then those specific programs have their own goals. But this is for veteran-owned small businesses only. They have the ability to do business with VA. No other federal agencies accepts business with service disabled veteran-owned opportunities, veteran-owned firms. Next slide, please. Okay. Here's what happens. Basically, you submit your application, they review it, they do an assessment of it, and they're usually right now they're making between 10 and 30 days on a decision. First of all, the website to go to for veteran certification is this website right here. An SBA guide preparing for service disabled veteran small business certification and recertification, October 2023 is available, and I have provided that information to Amanda. We're either going to put a link on our website where you can get to it, or we're going to send it out with the copy of this presentation. This item, I told you we're updating something. This came into me this morning at 9 o'clock California time from the VA. So it's right off the press, but it has an October date on it. So, but it's new information about talking about certification and recertification. The prior document that was issued in May of 2023 was only for new certifications, not recertifications. Next slide, please. Okay, this is our group of counselors that can assist you. We're all here. We all have a background some way or another in government contracting. We're here to help you. All of our services to you are free. And we do ask that you if you do have already assigned to a counselor, that you pass any questions off to that counselor about the certification. If you're not a current client, we ask that you please go to our website, and if you're in our service area, Amanda will assist you along with her staff to bring you in as a client, and we can then you would be assigned a counselor to work with you. Amanda's going to take over the presentation from here on out. I thank each one of your veterans for being here. I thank you for your service. I'm sorry for the technical glitches we had on the start, but you know how technology is. It works when it wants to. But again, thanks to each one of you for your dedicated military service, and enjoy the Veterans Small Business Week. And learn, and don't be bashful not to come back and ask questions. So I'm ready for some questions when Amanda starts throwing them out. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you so much, Joe, for that fantastic presentation. And please do enter any questions you have into the Q&A section of Zoom. We would love to answer your questions, and we have plenty of time to do so. So any kind of questions about APEX Accelerator, about Norcal VBOC, about all of these fantastic veteran certifications, please feel free to ask those questions. But before we get into those questions, I just want to make you all aware of some upcoming events that we have going on. We have one more session tomorrow morning for National Veterans Small Business Week. And that's I'm DVBE certified, now what? And we're going to have a representative from that certifying agency, California DGS, and they're going to be discussing not only very briefly the tips and tricks for getting that certification, but how you can really effectively use it within the state contracting market. So that's sure to be a fantastic presentation with a ton of great resources from DGS. So if you're not registered, please do register. That would be great. And some other events that we have coming up, we have our introductory webinar next Thursday, How to Do Business with the Government. And this is for folks who may just be not quite jumping into government contracting yet, but very interested in doing so. So this will give you a very high-level overview of what it takes to be successful in government contracting. And then we are taking a bit of a break at the end of this November as we are working on some very special projects to be announced a little bit later. So our next events after that will be in the beginning of December. We have a Your Path to Government Contracting Success on December 5th. And this is going to be a branch off from our introductory webinar that we do monthly. This one is going to be less high level and more into the weeds of what it takes to do government contracting. Our fantastic procurement specialist is going to go into how to get registered in SAM. What kind of things do you need to prepare before you even attempt that registration? And so much more detail than you really get in our monthly webinars. So we are quite excited for that one. And then also in December, we will be joined by BART, one of those reciprocity partners that Joe mentioned, with a Doing Business with BART event, where the representative from BART will be giving you the details about some of their equity programs, some of their certifications, and generally just some insider tips and tricks for being successful in contracting with BART. So that event is going to be on December 7th, and that's going to be a fantastic event, I'm sure, especially for Bay Area folks. But as the new year rolls around, we will have a ton of new events, which I am currently working on. And you can go ahead and find those events and keep up to date with all of our trainings at the link that I will be dropping in chat. And you can also, if you are interested, sign up for our newsletter. So you don't even have to check our website, don't have to check our training page. You'll get emails about all of our events, one weekly. We don't like to overload you with emails, but we will definitely make sure you know when training events are coming up so you can take advantage of them. And with that, we will go into some questions. So please do enter your questions into the Q&A section. I did want to ask you, Joe, what would you say is the biggest hurdle that veterans can find in the government contracting market?
You mean in the registration process to be certified or post-certification?
How about both? What's the biggest hurdle for certification? Because that's going to be the first step, right? You
I
got your
think,
business in
yeah.
place, you're going to get certified.
I think the biggest hurdle that I've had feedback on from the SBA and from Center for Veterans Enterprise when they were in operation was the fact that firms did not have a clear path of ownership. That they were owners, but there was no way they could prove that they had 51% of ownership. Or they had other people who were, corporations were owning them. But it was the ownership issue was the biggest hurdle initially to get through with the certification. Now, post certification, it's a effort of marketing your business. No one's gonna come out and tap you on the shoulder saying, I see you're a service disabled veteran or a disadvantaged business enterprise certified firm, and I want to give you a contract. You're going to have to market yourself to the firms to the agencies you want to do business with. But you also need to be aware of the resources that are out there to show you where the opportunities are coming from, and looking at those and taking some initiative to respond to those opportunities. If it's a sources sought, for example, in the federal arena, respond to it and let people know you're out here. You're a service disabled veteran or a veteran-owned small business in the federal arena, and you can do this work. But that's the challenge. But it becomes a marketing. This is a certification you have that's an advantage for you, but you still have to market to use it.
Absolutely. And on marketing, what are some key marketing tips that you would recommend? I know like industry days are really crucial, a lot of conferences if you can, but are there any other marketing tips that you could give?
Well, and I think this would apply for anybody doing business with the federal government, not just, firms that are certified under the socioeconomic categories. Know who your customer is. Know who is going to be buying your goods or service. If you're selling something that's going to support the space station, don't send it to HUD or to HHS. Focus on NASA. But again, knowing who buys your goods and services is a critical learning step from the very beginning. And as your line of work may expand out some, then you can expand out to other federal agencies. And don't overstate that you can do something and then you get the contract and then you're running around with your hair on fire saying, I can't perform this, because termination of a federal government contract is not pretty.
Absolutely. And I know, I believe it's standard. I know state agencies, but I believe most, if not all, federal agencies have advocates or liaisons that
Yes.
businesses like those in our audience today can connect with, and kind of that can be your almost foot in the door, right, Joe?
Yes, they have each federal agency has a Office of Small Business Programs. These are small business programs, and this is in today's environment, this is your main entry point into that agency, is through the Office of Small Business Programs. So you need to find out who the representative is for the Office of Small Business Program, for who you want to represent, and what do you want to do business with. Then make contact with them. Find out what you need to do to get into their system, to where you can get your information, your capability statement, your potential discussions with somebody in a decision-making process, to get your information in front of them. And then you move through that channel. But again, it's mostly the Office of Small Business Programs is your entry point into any agency right now, because they don't publish lists like they used to of contracting officers or other people in the organizations because of security reasons. And that all started after 9/11. So, but there are opportunities out there. And you know, there's other ways to, you know, to get into an agency, you know, but again, you have to know the process. You have to know what that agency is buying and where are they primarily located. For example, if you're doing business with the Department of the Army or even Department of the Navy, you will find that the contracting officer may be on the West Coast for an East Coast opportunity. Just based on what they want to buy. So it's not necessarily going to be a one-to-one direct link as to location versus that small business office.
Yeah, absolutely. And that connection piece is so crucial with getting these contracts, is being in the forefront of these advocates and these liaisons and these small business offices' minds when they are coming to purchase. That's actually something Norcal APEX Accelerator in our future programming is focusing a lot more on as well. We are in the midst of planning a Doing Business With series to help folks just like you meet these liaisons and meet these advocates and find out what they will be procuring within the near future. So definitely keep an eye out for those events. I know we had NASA join us just last week for a Doing Business With event, and that was fantastic. And you can also find that recording if you are interested in selling to NASA. You can find that recording on our website as well. So definitely keep an ear out. As Joe said, marketing is a huge piece, and getting connected is something that Norcal APEX Accelerator can absolutely help you with.
Now, I have a question for the 16 participants that are still online. Where are your questions? Was everything crystal clear, or is it kind of muddy water?
It was really straightforward for me. You're very good at presenting very straightforward, factual information, and that's really what these certification needs. But yeah, so if there are no other questions, we will go ahead and wrap up the presentation. First off, I'd like to say thank you so much, Joe and Marco, for joining us today. It was a great presentation from both of you, and I'm sure both the folks who are here today and the audience that will watch it once the recording is posted is going to get a lot of information about this.
Thank you very much. Good talking to you. Thank you for your service.
Of course. And as you all head out of this webinar, I do want to let you know you'll be redirected to our feedback survey. And our feedback survey is something we value very highly because at Norcal APEX Accelerator and VBOC, we do all of these trainings, we do all of this effort for you and your business to help you. And so your feedback is really crucial in fine-tuning our webinars, the topics, the way we present, to make sure that you really are getting the most value out of these trainings. So it is a very short survey, and if you do have the time, we would really appreciate it. I actually go through and read them as well. So it's not just going into the void, I promise. But we would really appreciate your feedback. And finally, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you got a ton of information and resources out of this webinar. And as a friendly reminder, you will be getting the recording as well as the slides with all of those active links that you can click on within a week of this event. And that's our just typical processing time. So we do appreciate your patience. Thank you again for joining us, and I hope you have a fantastic Thursday.